everyone. This is Karen Waksman, founder of Retail MBA. And today I want to talk about the 5 tips on how to grow your retail business. So if you have a great product and you just got your product into Bed Bath & Beyond or Home Depot or Macy's or Neiman Marcus or whatever, this little training will talk to you about the 5 tips on how to actually grow that business. Just some things to consider when working with retail chains. So the first thing on how to grow your retail business once it's in stores is get a retail buyer to purchase more once the product's in stores. So what does that mean? Well, usually when a buyer is interested in your product and they purchase your product, they'll actually test your product out first. So they'll buy a small quantity, they'll put it in their top 20, 50, or 100 stores. And so what you want is to have that test go well. Because if that test goes well, the repeat orders are huge. So they actually start pretty small with retailers, but the long-term business can be exponential for your business. So I have clients who get an order from a chain store every week, right? So at first it was slow, and then the product converted, and then all of a sudden now they're getting just massive orders every single week, and it's just a fun, and that's from one retailer. You know what I mean? They can do phenomenal for your business, but you want to make sure that that test order goes well. So again, it really comes down to you want to get a retailer to purchase more after the initial test. So that's tip number 1. Another thing to consider is to get a retailer to review additional products after your product is in stores. So what does that mean? Another way to grow your revenue and grow your business with retail is once your product's in and it sells, show that buyer another product, because they'll all of a sudden pay attention to you, be interested in your product, and so forth. So that could be epic for your business to take a look at products and show that buyer products as soon as your initial product sells. So I have clients who got one product into a retail chain, then they, as soon as it started selling, they knew to bring in another product, because you want to keep growing your business. And why not? I mean, why don't you piggyback off of your own successes, right? So show them new products, because that's the best time for them to be interested in your product once your initial product sells. Another tip on how to grow your retail business is get yourself and your product reviewed online at these retail chains, because people go online and so forth and to review products. And so essentially what that means is if you want to sell to Macy's, the buyer at Macy's is different than the buyer at Macy's.com. If you want to sell to Home Depot, the buyer at Home Depot is different than the buyer at HomeDepot.com. Different buyers. The online buyer cares about different things than the physical store buyer. If your product is online, so say you reached out to Bed Bath & Beyond and they said yes to your product and they put your product on their website, that's great, but don't stop there. You want to get people to actually review products on their website, saying that they love the product, like you would on Amazon. Most people ignore this. They don't get people to review products on the retailer's website, because that actually shows that you're cool, shows that your product is great. And then when people are searching online, they see all these stars, ratings, and so forth, because these websites have a lot of clout. That ultimately leaves you to making a lot more money. I have clients who crush online, do phenomenally well, because they're focusing and caring for that page that they got on that retailer's site. So they are getting reviews, they're really beefing up the content, the words that they use about the product, the images are great. And so they know to milk that as much as possible. It helps their business in the long run. Another tip on how to grow your retail business is that you can get your product ranked so more people know about you. So what does that mean? Search engine optimization. So those are strategies where you can get your product ranked on Google, right? The first page of Google and so forth. So if you actually spend some time optimizing the page, giving the buyer appropriate words to use and so forth, the copy that you give them, and then also do, either work with somebody or learn how to do a search engine optimization strategies to drive people to know that your product is, say, on Walmart.com, that it will actually in turn help you make a bunch of money, because more people will know about you, and that will show the buyer that it's selling, they'll buy more product and so forth. So you want to actually, a lot of people get their product on, say, Bye Bye Baby, and ultimately what happens is they just put it up there and they don't do anything like do content marketing to drive traffic to that retail page, and so the product just sits there, right? But you can actually do a lot of stuff to let people know about your product by optimizing it, by coming up with strategies And there's so many, that's a whole other lesson on how to do search engine optimization. But look it up, hire somebody, learn more. But ultimately, that can actually make you a lot of money with retail. I had one client who actually got his entire product catalog into Walmart because he actually did so well with search engine optimization on his own websites. And then when he had the buyer meeting, he showed the buyer that he was ranked on the first page of Google for his product category. And the buyer loved that because it made the buyer believe that he was smart, that he was a smart marketer and that he was a good marketer. And also he could switch out some of the links that he's already used for his company and put in the Walmart links as well. And the buyer knew that, so they loved that. So that's the other way to turn this around. The final tip on how to grow your retail business once you're in stores is to get other buyers at other brands to review and purchase your product. So what do I mean by that? Well, most people, let's use Walgreens as an example. Walgreens is a drugstore and they sell, they have thousands of stores they're responsible for, right? So most people know about that retailer. They know about Walgreens. Most people don't know about Duane Reade. Duane Reade is another drugstore, and they only have a few hundred stores, I should say, that they're responsible, several hundred stores they're responsible for. The reason I mention these two drugstores is because they're owned by the same corporation. And why does that matter to you? Well, what happens with retail is if you actually purchase, if you get your product purchased by a retail chain, you get something called a vendor number. So if you get a PO from a retailer, they'll give you a vendor number. That's kind of your identification number. So that vendor number will track all your sales and products and so forth. So every vendor gets a vendor number. So the reason I mention that is, say you go to Walgreens and you try and sell them your product. Walgreens rejects you and you're bummed. But you know the strategy and then you're not so bummed. Because then you go to Duane Reade and you get the buyer interested in your product. Maybe it's because they have less stores they're responsible for, they're not as competitive, whatever, they like your product. You get onboarded by Duane Reade. They give you a vendor number. That vendor number will work for Walgreens. So why does that matter to you? Because you can go back to Walgreens and you can say, hey, Walgreens buyer, I have a vendor number, so let's test our product out. Why does that matter? Because a lot of times buyers won't take on a new product because they don't want to fill out paperwork and they don't want to set you up in the system because it takes time to create a vendor number and all these things. So a lot of times they just reject you because it's maybe not worth it, right? But if you've already done the work with another buyer and you already got that vendor number, you can go to say Walgreens and let them know that, and that could be the reason why they pick your product. And then now you're not only selling to Duane Reade, but you're also selling to Walgreens. Does that make sense? So Macy's and Bloomingdale's, they're owned by the same corporation. A lot of these retailers are, owned by the same corporation. Leverage that as an opportunity for you to generate revenue with your product. And so that can absolutely explode your sales just because you got into one retailer, you can get into another retail chain. So how cool is that? So anyways, those are the 5 tips on how to grow your retail business once you're in stores. I hope that supported you. If you want to learn all of the strategies on how to make money with your physical products, how to actually get into retail chains, what to say to buyers to get them to buy, and then all the cool other stuff about actually growing your business and what's going to happen to you once you get in stores, you definitely want to take a look at my Retail MBA Training Program. The link to that training program is listed below. This program is epic. You can learn all of these strategies in a weekend and start going after retail chains next week. I mean, I give you the exact words to use to get into retail chains and all sorts of things. I have clients who have gotten their products into retail chains all across the globe. So this is a great program. So the link to that is listed below this video. It's called my Retail MBA Training Program. Otherwise, please be on the lookout for additional trainings that I create, the free stuff, because I just try to help you learn about how to make money with your physical products. Anyways, this is Karen Waksman with Retail MBA, and I would love your feedback or comments below. Thanks so much.